Welcome. This is All Minus One Quick Shots. So, folks, I got up a little late today because I didn't sleep much the last few days and fell asleep on the couch, came up to bed around 5 a.m., whatever. Basically, I slept in. I came downstairs, got my coffee, and I started watching Don the Pleb, a friend of our live show. In any case, Don was talking about this particular article, read through the whole thing, which I will not be doing here, about the miseducation of American elites, affluent parents terrified of running afoul of the new orthodoxy in their children's private schools, organized in secret. Dun, dun, dun. But that's pretty important because what the article really is an article stating that these folks are so cowardly and so spineless that they, in their elite circles, I mean, we're talking about upper echelon of education, private schools, Harvard University, Princeton, whatever else, they won't say anything. Guarantee you, though, they keep contributing money. They send their kids there, and they feed the new standard of wokeness. Now, Bari Weiss herself, the author of the article, formerly worked for the New York Times, left because of the wokeness taking over there, although she is a bit of a woke scold herself. Perhaps not the worst, but hey, if you are an ally in any way, shape, or form to that, perhaps you need to rethink your positions because it is utter cancer, and perhaps you need to learn some history because it is exactly what has happened every time as a country goes toward authoritarianism, centralized government, which we, by the way, have had for a long time, but I mean to the extreme, such as in communistic, socialistic regimes. And what I really got from this entire article is essentially this. There is no leadership. It's amazing. It's like I keep saying the same thing. I wonder why. Well, I'll tell you why. Because there is no leadership in this country. There are only a bunch of irresponsible, unaccountable wusses. Those are the folks who are in charge. And these elite circles pat each other on the back and say, well, you went to the same school, you went to the same, yacht club or whatever it is, the same social organization. And if you're a special person, you might be an average person off the street, but you got into, certain spheres and maybe you were pretty and a little bit charming and people liked you, you got to go into media. You got to go into the news media, or you got to be an actor or an actress. And therefore, you got to be in the club without having really, truly earned it. But because you're pretty and we like you, as long as you say the right things, you can join. And this, folks, brings me to the next point here, which is this little discrepancy. And I mean by little discrepancy, as in I put in Cuomo charges, and we get these stories right here. That is, top stories from Google is Andrew Cuomo sexual assault harassment charges. New York AG names two high-profile attorneys. And then from the Washington Post, Andrew Cuomo scandal highlights Republicans' appalling double standard. And the gaslighting is real. So let's look at this real quick. New York AG names two high-profile attorneys. Well, this is for the scandal here. Body found in Queens. Oh no, someone was murdered. Didn't Andrew Cuomo murder like 15,000 people? Why is New York NBC affiliate News 4 not reporting on that? The Washington Post opinion. The Andrew Cuomo scandal highlights Republicans' appalling double standard. Aren't the Democrats always the ones, or the leftists, the progressive, the woke scolds, the whatever they are? Aren't they always the ones talking about whataboutism? I don't know what appalling double standard they're talking about. I'm not going to read the article because I don't care, but it is the headline to catch you. And what do you mean? You mean the murdering of all the people? Because suddenly when I type in Andrew Cuomo criminal charges, then I get Governor Cuomo nursing home scandal, from the New York Post, a right-leaning outlet, by the way. Oh, that goes all the way back to February 22nd. Is there anything newer? No, not really. These are all February articles. Older. Isn't that the more prescient issue, right? Isn't that the bigger deal right now? Yeah, sexual harassment, probably not the best thing, but probably also not as bad as murder. And let's say he didn't murder the people. Perhaps we could call it manslaughter. Yeah, here we have some DOJ obstruction of justice, but that's from Fox Business News and so forth. So coming back to the original article here, these people are unaccountable. They get no flack from anybody. They are covered by the media. When the media goes after them, then we get articles like this one from the Washington Post saying that, well, the Republicans have an appalling standard, yet it is only the right-wing Republicans or conservatives or libertarians or whatever, people who are, right of Mao, who are talking about this. Barry Weiss brings up the article because she is finally aware, like a lot of other people, basically like Glenn Greenwald, of the craziness of the left and their crazy conspiracy theories. Matt Taibbi would be another one. And they're both very left-wing folks, but they know that this is nonsense. So again, what is the point to all of this? Well, the point is the left, or people who are progressives or who are elitist, who are leftists, they all believe that they know better than you. They do. They think that authority is God. They think that, someone is given authority, they go to some elite school, therefore they know better, regardless of how wrong they are. Then they go into these groups, and like Barry Weiss mentioned, they think differently, and then they get shamed for speaking up. And instead of saying, no, screw you, I'll take my money elsewhere, I'll take my kid out of this program, no, screw you, I will prove you wrong, what they do is they kowtow. And then, in order to perpetuate their good existence in their cowardice, they prop up folks like Cuomo, Gretchen Whitmer, who also was responsible for many deaths of elderly folks. And don't get me wrong, a lot of these elderly folks may have died within a few years, but they didn't need to be dying alone of this disease that was preventable based on just keeping sick folk out of the nursing home. And also, you didn't need to lie about it. Like Cuomo literally lied about it. And then all of the other virtue signaling that they do to obfuscate their duties. Cuomo then has now said, well, basically, Republicans are coming after me because of this or that. Actually wrote a book on Cuomo himself wrote a book on the lack of leadership during the pandemic here recently. It's just absolutely insane. And all of this comes back to, again, like what I was saying, it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect. They think they're smarter than they actually are. They don't realize the holes in their knowledge. It's like people not realizing that Joe Biden was going to bomb Syria, like immediately. I called this months ago. It's like you're just completely unaware of what's going on. And then because the people who are propping you up are supporting you, they go, they're dumb. They're supporting you because they're going, well, he probably didn't know any better. We didn't know. Well, why are you listening to someone who can't make sound decisions? Why are you choosing leaders and propping them up? The number one reason is tribalism. It really is. It has nothing to do with principle. It has nothing to do with, any sort of real leadership. It has nothing to do with respect. It has to do with we have created institutions in America, something that we did not start off with. Again, I will reference Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. He talks about this. And it's a voluminous book. We're talking about 1,000 pages or so, 800, something of that sort. It's a lot of reading, but it's good reading because it gives you a very deep description through franchise of American society. And this is franchise right after the Revolution and the Napoleonic era. And one of the things that was going on in America was we didn't have institutions, we had individuals. Within individuals, we had communities which had their own institutions. Have you ever noticed the language of the institution of the family? Right? No one is in charge of that institution except for the family itself. Have you ever thought about why leftists want to get rid of that institution but prop up their own centralized institutions? See, real leadership comes with decentralizing. You wish to decentralize so you can build up responsibility amongst individuals. And part of decentralizing things is actually taking responsibility. When you are centralized, the more centralized you are, the more likely you are to throw the low man on the totem pole under the bus. And that doesn't make any sense. It is paradoxical, but it is true. Because the lemmings below you believe that they should just listen to the leader. And in the end, no one ever takes any sort of real blame or responsibility except for that one guy on the very bottom. Oh, Joe Blow, he messed up. Got to get rid of him. But Big Boss Man, he's the one who told me to do it. Well, you should have known better. Big Boss Man had an off day. The Big Boss Man has so much going on. He was confused, made a bad judgment call. Do you see how that works? In a decentralized leadership structure, folks, whoever makes the decision generally is the one who gets in trouble. And if it's good leadership and he goes, I told that guy to go do it, and that guy goes, boss man told me to go do it, then they go, oh, I'll go talk to boss man. And then boss man says, I sure did. What do I have to do to make this right? Or, what's my punishment? Whatever that might be. So, again, these folks are just cowards. They don't want to take any sort of responsibility. They don't want to stand up to anyone. They don't want to pay the price or suffer the cost. And I often say this about leftists, about progressives. They've been using the word liberal for a long time. Now, I'm a liberal in the classical sense. It doesn't make me left-wing. That actually makes me right-wing. That makes me more libertarian. I'm a minarchist. I have Christian values. I believe in personal responsibility. Those are all libertarian, classical, liberal, enlightenment type views. I believe in small community, decentralized authority. That makes me, again, a classical liberal. The people who call themselves liberals, they're not liberals, they're libertines. They don't want any responsibility whatsoever. They don't want any real leadership whatsoever. They want a bunch of incompetence, and then they want to continue to call for more centralized authority because they don't want to be responsible themselves, because if the authority said so, then it's the authority's fault. What they fail to understand is that the authority has power, and this breeds despotism and tyranny, and they don't care about their responsibility in the issue. They just gaslight, obfuscate, pretend as if, well, I did the best that I could. When in reality is, Cuomo knew 100% that he was getting away with murder, literally, and that the Democrats and the media would cover up for him, literally, which they did. And he thought, maybe I could get away with this, because this was about defeating Trump and getting past and through the anti-globalist agenda, right? The Trumpist agenda, which was America first. Can't have that. Have to continue to have the globalism. Have to continue to have the system. And all these folks in Barry Weiss's article, I'll bring it up one last time here. All of these folks in the miseducation of America's elite, these folks are thinking, well, I don't like this stuff and it's bad and I see it being bad for my kids, but the establishment's good. The establishment's right. The establishment. And some of these folks are basically robbing Peter to pay Paul, essentially. They're hey, well, I'm going to be a part of this establishment, whatever, but I don't care about the long-term consequences down the road. They don't care about the second, third, fourth order consequences. Again, this all goes back to poor leadership. I don't even understand this because I just don't get this within a family structure. I'm a father. I've been a father for almost 17 years, about to have my second one here. But before all of that, I did have stepchildren with my first wife for quite a while, for 7 years. And let me tell you, this stuff wouldn't be fine. If things are bad in an institution, you know what I do? I go address the institution. Several years ago, I had a very woke, scold, leftist, lesbian teacher. I don't really care that she's a lesbian, but she's trying to project all of her politics onto my daughter in English class and making them read all this woke nonsense. My daughter hated it, and I had a conversation with her. Obviously my daughter, but I meant the teacher specifically. I've done this in the past with other teachers, of course, not over that issue, but other issues. And folks, if you don't make this way in the world, no one will make it for you. Unless someone really, really likes you. And I mean really likes you. No one's going to prop you up to more than where you are at. So the place that you are at, let's say wherever that is in the world, with where your kids are going to school, how they're being educated, who your governor is, whatever else, it is incumbent upon you to take the steps to change those things. Maybe you can't change the evil governor of your state right away, right? But you can look locally and see how things are going locally. And I know it's crazy and it's radical. You can always move to somewhere that is more in line with your views. And I get that they will keep coming for us, but that is why you need to stand up and say no. And again, this comes back to leadership, because true leadership isn't a coward. It's not afraid. It chooses to be brave. It chooses to make hard decisions, and it chooses to take the consequences of those decisions, whether they are right or wrong. So, I don't know, just some random thoughts for the day. I don't know how coherent any or all of that was, but again, just some things after, getting up, being up for a few hours, seeing some stuff going on in the news today, and just some thoughts, because I keep talking about it and I keep saying it and I will keep saying it. This is about leadership. This is about intellectual morons. This is about people who have the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is about cowardice. And you need to speak up. There is no strong society that exists with a population that is not well educated and that is not brave enough to speak up. And you need to drop the idea of being led by institutions. You create your own institution in your home. You are part of an institution of your home, that is, of your family. And you get to create your own destiny, despite what the despots may say. Hey folks, with all that, this has been all my One Quick Shots, and I wish you all well.